Well, hello YouTube, and welcome to my Genshin Impact version 3.4 planning video. This is going to be a little bit different than the response video that I did earlier because now I have a lot more information to work with, and this will actually kind of will help me, and I hope it will help you as well. But before we begin, I have a motto that I'd like everyone to remember in Genshin Impact 3.4, and that is timing is everything. Now go ahead and repeat it back to me so I know you're paying attention. 3, 2, 1. All right, close enough. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we have a new area that's updated in the desert. Keep in mind that while you probably can get in there as long as you've already accessed the part of the desert that we already have, there's a big world quest that will require you to have completed the Golden Slumber world quest first. So if you still need to do that, and I am in that category, make sure that you get that done. There's a new boss in there. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. I know a lot of people will probably wake up and make the fastest trip possible into the desert just to find this thing. They may not have any characters that need the drops from it. They will just want to beat the new boss, whoever and whatever it is. We also have a new story quest. This is Alhatham's story quest, of course. You have to have completed all of the Archon quest chapter 3, which is Sumeru's quest first. You do not have to have previously completed the Wanderer's interlude chapter, but you can if you want. Just remember my standing advice when it comes to story quests. Do not, and I repeat, do not unlock them unless you're ready to play them. Otherwise, you can get stuck trying to do a bunch of things all at the same time, and that drives everyone crazy. I don't know why people keep doing it. All right, well, hopefully you're learning something, and you're probably wondering why I'm so hung up on timing for Genshin Impact 3.4. That's because the timing for Genshin Impact 3.4 looks a little bit like this. Okay, now I know some of you have never seen a Gantt chart before. Some of you who have seen it are probably taking notes, maybe even taking a screenshot. It's fine with me. Before we move on from this, I want to call attention to some of the things I'm not going to mention later on in this video. The Battle Pass is pretty much the same as it's always been. There's really not much to talk about there. The Spring Bloom Missive discount is for Ayaka's new costume. Based on the discounted rate that they're giving us and what it's going to go to after 3.4, it certainly sounds like it's going to be a 4-star costume. Obviously, if you're like me and you haven't unlocked Ayaka, this probably doesn't matter too much, but if you do have Ayaka unlocked or you want to give this to her when you do have her unlocked, now might be a good time to get it. Keep in mind that the Battle Pass and the costume both require real actual money to get. Nothing else necessarily does, but those two do. So May Fortune Find You is going to be a very easy quest. It's not even a quest. You're basically just going to log in a couple times, or I think it's 7 times during that period, and you'll get everything just by doing that. Iridescent Splendor is a little bit harder only because you have to check your email in the game, which is honestly there's no reason not to get all the rewards for that, so don't worry about it. And Overflowing Mastery, I'm not gonna mention it too much later, but That is the 7-day period where you can get double the talent books 3 times a day for. And hey, we all need talent books unless we're not leveling up our talents, right? All right. Well, let's take a look at the banners. Uh, when it goes live, which will for me be in probably a little less than an hour, um, the Phase 1 banner will be Al Hatham and Zhao. The 4-star characters, obviously Yao Yao, our new character, will be on the Phase 1 banners. Xinyan and Yunjin are the other two. And we also have all of the information from the Phase 2 banners ready to go. We know it's going to be Hu Tao and Yelan, and the 4-star characters are going to be Baido, Ningguang, and Xingxu. So it's going to be pretty much all Liyue characters except for Al Hatham. So, and February 7th is the cutoff date for Phase 1. Phase 2 begins on the same day. February 28th is the last day of version 3.4. So, if you're like me, you're probably wondering, how on earth am I supposed to get into this stupid pyramid? Yeah, I know. You're wondering if you meet all the overall requirements to do the version 3.4 events. Well, let's start with the adventure rank. The most that you're going to be required to get is adventure rank 30, unless you're also doing the Genius Invocation TCG, in which case it is 32. But that is the same requirement to do the tutorial, so I think you pretty much know whether you need that or not. As far as the stories, the Archon quest, you need to complete at least 2 Rito escape plan. This is very early in Inazuma's Archon quest. This is if you've never been to Inazuma yet, you'll start off in a very small island, and you'll have to complete this quest in order to leave it and go everywhere else in Inazuma. Now, you can sneak off the island. At least I think you can. I was able to do it. But in order to complete the minimum requirements, you'll actually have to do the quest to leave the island. So we also need to do Lisa's story quest. I imagine this doesn't affect very many people because Lisa's story quest we get fairly early, and we're not. And even those of us who don't get hung up on the story are usually still interested in the story back then. So, but if you haven't done Lisa's story quest, now might be a good time to do it. So let's talk about the flagship event. Flagship event, the Exquisite Night Chimes, is the Lantern Festival for Liyue. Obviously, we've got a Crown of Insight to earn. We've got talent level up materials for Liyue characters, and a bunch of other stuff. This event will go live on January 19th, so don't log in day 1 and expect it to be started. Just be patient. It will be fine. It will go to February 6th. There are 4 phases in total, and all of them will be live in the game as of January 25th. I will be streaming this on my Twitch channel, and I'll be starting it on January 24th. I figure I'm going to need at least 2 streams to do this, but I did clear out time on my schedule to do more if necessary. But overall, I think this will be fun. So as far as requirements go, you need to be at least adventure rank 28. You also need to have almost completed the entirety of chapter 1, which is Liyue's chapter, all the way through act 3, which is you'll probably know if you're at the end of act 3. Now there is an act 4. It's not that long, but you don't need to do that for this one. As far as what they recommend, and whenever I show recommendations, this is from from Genshin Impact, you can do the quick start and clear anything that's under the recommendations, but you can't use the quick start to clear the requirements. So, Archon Quest Interlude Act 1, that is started as soon as Chapter 1 Act 3 is done. Um, it's not that long. And then Yelan's story quest, you'll encounter that a lot later on. You'll need to be, if I remember correctly, you'll need to be completely done with Inazuma and then come back to Liyue before you can do Yelan's story quest. As far as what I would recommend personally, I would recommend that if you haven't done it, to at least do the Interlude Act 1, because based on what I think they might be doing, there may be some story spoilers if you do not complete that. As far as Yelan's story quest, it all depends on how far we go into Yelan's story, and maybe even the story of the overall story for the Qixing. But that's a little bit of a lesser thing. So if that's the only thing if that's the only hang up, then I wouldn't worry about it. But the big thing about this event is what we get at the end, and that is a free 4-star character from Liyue. And it is going to be, for all of us, one of these 9 characters. Now, I kind of annotated this a little bit. This is a good thing to take a screenshot of if you want it for later. Because what I did was I annotated which 4-star characters are on the Phase 1 banners and which 4-star characters are on the Phase 2 banners. And hopefully that will give you a good idea of how to handle this invitation, because I've seen a lot of people making videos of who should you pick. I already know who I'm going to pick, barring. Let's start this way. Who would I recommend just in general? I think most people already know who they're going to pick, but if I'm going to call attention to maybe 3 characters that I think might be of general interest, let's start with Yunjin over here. Yunjin is a very good support character, particularly for Geo characters. I think that she's not that easy, not that hard to build, and she can basically just, she can be a really serviceable battery for most characters. And like I said, it's not a particularly hard one, and you can get some good value from early constellations for her. So that would be the first one I would recommend. I'd also like to give some thought to Ningguang. Ningguang doesn't, when you look at her on paper, she doesn't sound like she's that big of a deal, well, except for who she is in the story. But when I think about it, when I think about when I've used her and how I've used her in some of my lines, her Jade Screen has helped me out quite a bit in a number of boss battles. She does take some time to get used to, but her elemental burst can cause quite a bit of damage, particularly if you've boosted her geo damage. Not particularly hard to build. It's basically a straight up DPS build. I would say if you haven't thought about Ningguang, she is a really good character to have. And of course, we have Yanfei right here. Yanfei is the textbook definition of a DPS unit. Like Ningguang, she does take a little bit of time to get used to her timing, but it's pretty much just boost her pyro abilities, give her a 4-piece set from Crimson Witch of Flames, which I believe is now in the strong boxes, so it's even easier to do it now than when I did it. Other than that, it's just a typical DPS build for her, and she will. And once you've built her correctly, she'll light your world on fire, literally. And now, the one thing I would say, don't think that she's going to be all that good for elemental reactions, unless she's the one that's setting it up. She can basically light everything on fire, then just bring someone in with electro and then overload everything, and that would work out pretty good. Now, people who have seen me stream on Twitch are probably surprised that I didn't say anything about Xinyan. That is the character I'm probably going to use my invitation for. The reason I didn't say anything is that Xinyan is got a reputation for having a kit that's very hard to comprehend. I don't think there's any problem with it, but the reason that I think people think it's hard is that there's a lot of different ways to build her, and it really comes down to figuring out what you want her to be and then making the kit that matches that, more so than literally any other character in the game. So yeah, Xinyan can be a very rewarding character to build if you want to, but there's a lot of really good characters to choose from. So if you don't choose to do her, it's okay. I get it. All right. Next, we have the Heated Battle, which is now going to be available for Genius Invocation at least from January 28th to February 6th. In this, you're not going to be rolling any dice. You'll just simply get 8 Omni dice straight away, which may make things easier. I think it's going to make it both a little bit easier and also harder at the same time. Keep in mind that you do need to prepare your decks appropriately. If you're going to be starting with all Omni dice, then you shouldn't have anything in your deck that is based on you re-rolling dice. As I mentioned earlier, Genius Invocation TCG requires Adventure Rank 32. You will need to complete the tutorial before you can do Heated Battle, but I think at this point, people who are interested in Genius Invocation are probably well on their way right now. People who aren't interested are going to pass on this, and don't worry if you're not that interested in this. All you're going to get as far as rewards for this are the coins to buy more cards. So there's really nothing that's going to require you to play Genius Invocation if you don't want to. So we now have the second Blooming event, where among other things, we're going to be playing to unlock a free alternate costume for Lisa. This begins on January 30th. All 5 rounds of this event will be available on February 3rd, and you'll need to complete it by February 13th. Most important to note, you get a 1-day grace period if you don't unlock the costume in time. So just keep that in mind. I will be streaming this on February 7th. So if you'd like to stop by my Twitch channel, that is when you will see it. As for the prerequisites for this, all the prerequisites are required. Adventure Rank 20, the entirety of the Archon Quest Prelude, which is Mondstadt's chapter, and this is the one that requires Lisa's story quest. Overall, this is pretty early game stuff, so I don't think very many people who are into Genshin Impact to the extent that they're watching this video need to think about any of this stuff. All right, Warrior Spirit. Warrior Spirit is going to be available February 9th and will go through the 20th, and all 6 duels are going to be available February 14th. This is going to be in Inazuma somewhere. I don't really know that much about it. What I do know is the requirements. Adventure Rank 30 and Rito Escape Plan are the must-haves. The recommendations are a little bit tricky. You need to do both of Raiden Shogun's story quests. She is one of the few that has multiple story quests. Um, it all comes down to how much of her story is going to be reflected in this event. If you have at least completed the Archon quest for Inazuma, you're probably fine, and you can just quick start the rest of it if you haven't done the story quests. But if you don't want the potential of spoilers, then you probably should do the story quests as well. They won't take too long, maybe. Now we've got this thing. You can see the title. I can see the title. It's a long title. It's a title that only one particular person could have come up with. This will be available February 16th. All 5 challenges will be available on the 20th. I'll be streaming this on the 21st, and this has to be done by the 27th if you're going to do it. The Beetle Brawl requires pretty much the same things as I mentioned before: Adventure Rank 30 and the Rito Escape Plan. There is a quick start to avoid Interlude Act 2. Interlude Act 2 is the Chasm interlude. If you've done the Interlude Act 2, you know what it is. If you haven't, it's going to take you a while, because in order to get this, you have to be completely done with Inazuma. You also have to, if I remember correctly, you have to do at least the first story for Raiden Shogun. You also have to complete the story quest for Arataki Ito. And yeah. So, I mean, it's probably a good idea to do that. But if you've at least done Arataki Ito's story quest, you're probably going to be okay. It all depends, I suppose. But yeah, that's all of the events that are going to be part of Genshin Impact 3.4. Let's take a quick look at what I plan to get done in version 3.4 as far as character improvements and the like. Well, here's what I got done in 3.3. You can see what the estimates were based on what I've gotten done in previous versions and what I actually got done and what the estimates have now been updated to. So as far as bringing characters up to level 90, I got 3 of them done. That's a little bit more than I thought. I thought I would just do the 2 of them, the first 2, but Shangling just, it turned out that while I was kind of doing Christmas and just doing the bosses just to get the resin completed as quickly as possible, I did a few more than I expected, so Shangling was able to get done. Artifact sets, got 3 sets done last time. Right now, I'm grinding the Emblem of Severed Fate domain, which is going to be for Raiden, Beidou, Shangling, and Xingqiu. As far as the strong boxes, I'm looking into the Noblesse set for Bennett. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to get all of that done in 3.4, but 3 of them I think are possible. 4 would be pushing it, but 3 is definitely possible for me. As far as talents, I got Chi-Chi's talents all the way up to 6 across. I've got Noelle triple crowned. That's all I got done last in 3.3. So basically my estimates go down because I didn't really get much done. But as far as this time around, I've got a lot of characters that I'm going to get all to 6 across. I do still need to get Jean to 9 across, and I don't think that there's much of a chance I'm going to do more than that. The good thing about this version is there's a lot of events that will drop talent books, so that will kind of help me along a little bit. As far as weapons, you can see I kind of went on a weapons tear in 3.3. It's probably going to be a little bit more of the same in 3.4, although not too much. I have a 5-star weapon to make right now. I have 2 4-star weapons that I do want to end 3.4 completely up. But the problem is, I am really struggling to get weapons experience. The events will help, but aside from that, it's just going to be I have to get to farming, and that's what's going to take to get stuff done. And yeah, so that's it for my 3.4 planning video. Hope this helped you as much as it helped me. And if it helped you, please leave a like on this video. And if you enjoyed watching this, consider subscribing to this channel and following me on Twitch. And I will see you in the next video.